It's one thing to look up at the night sky and wonder what's out there. It's another thing entirely when a piece of out there decides to come down. We're not talking about meteors or known space junk. I'm talking about smooth metallic spheres appearing out of nowhere, usually with no explanation at all. And the story of the Buga Sphere is just the beginning of this bizarre and unsettling phenomenon. Let's check it out. The Buga Sphere. A sphere-shaped UFO with alien writing on it has fallen from the sky. It's discoveries like these that make you look up at the sky and wonder what's really going on. Now, for a long time, the skies have been a source of fascination and fear. We've seen strange lights, unexplained crafts, and things that just shouldn't be possible. But what happened on March 20th, 2025 in a small town in Colombia was something else. On that day, people in the town of Buga, nestled in the Valle del Cauca, looked up to see a shimmering metallic object, no bigger than a bowling ball, zigzagging through the sky. It was pulsing and glowing, completely defying the graceful glide of your average aircraft. It wasn't a plane, it wasn't a drone, it was completely silent and moving in a way that defied physics. And then, as dozens of people watched, it suddenly plummeted to Earth like an anvil dropped out of an airplane. It hit the ground with a sickening thud, right there in the middle of a grassy field. The orb. When people finally got up the courage to get close, they found something truly bizarre. It was a perfect sphere, about the size of a large grapefruit. It was incredibly heavy, and the surface felt wrong. It was metallic, but there were no seams, no welds, no evidence to show how it was made or how it was flying. The metallic orb was very cold to the touch. Witness David Vélez El Potro said it was like touching a refrigerator. Wait a minute. Would you be brave enough to touch something like this? Are you supposed to be touching strange orbs that drop from the sky? He's braver than I am. This was the beginning of what's now being called one of the most compelling UFO cases of the last decade. This strange metallic orb doesn't look like anything I've ever seen. At first, I thought it was a soccer ball from a trophy or something. I couldn't tell what it was from the pictures. Do you think there's anything inside? The people who found it started to notice something terrible. All the grass in the area where the sphere had landed was dead. Not just brown, but completely gone, as if it had been vaporized. And the ground beneath it was bone dry. Scientists who looked at the scene said it was like some invisible, decaying energy had sucked all the life and moisture right out of the soil. Scientists don't think it has anything to do with radiation, since there is none. Rather, they believe the object released an energy field upon landing that dehydrated the ground using negatively charged particles in the air. It didn't poison the land, not at all. It simply sucked the water right out of it. Just what kind of advanced technology is powering this magic little orb? Then it got heavier. From the start, things didn't add up. The orb was taken from Buga, passed through numerous hands, and ended up with researchers at Mexico's National Autonomous University. And this is where things get really strange. When they began to study the orb, it exhibited very strange behavior. For one, it got 5 times heavier without changing shape or size. It jumped from 4 pounds to 22 pounds like it had just eaten a neutron star for breakfast. This thing has no visible seams and no moving parts. There is absolutely no rational explanation for how it suddenly gained 18 pounds. Maybe if it was a pound, even 2 pounds, chalk it up to weird circumstances. But for a smooth metallic orb from space to suddenly shoot up 18 pounds is nuts. Something exceptionally strange is going on with this thing, and scientists are taking it seriously. Inside the sphere, things were even more baffling. Scans showed a highly complex internal structure with a dense central core, surrounded by layers of unknown metals and 18 tiny microspheres, all suspended in some kind of internal matrix. And on the outside of the sphere, if you looked closely, were strange symbols. Symbols that looked like they had been etched into the very metal itself. It looks like alien writing. And there were even reports, unconfirmed, but I'm going to share them anyway, that the sphere was an active device. that it was responding to certain sounds and frequencies and emitting its own strange signals. Some people even claim to have seen it respond to ancient Sanskrit chants. Okay, that seems like it's going a little bit too far. The orb goes public. Engineer Rodolfo Garrido, who started studying the object right away in March, appeared on the TV program Interstellar to make an announcement. He claimed that the sphere appeared to generate its own electromagnetic field, possibly using it to levitate and manipulate its weight during flight. In other words, Rodolfo may have just stumbled upon the next iteration of propulsion technology. Right now, Earth vehicles rely on motors and engines, primitive, caveman-era technology that needs electricity or gooey dinosaur muck to work. But this sphere generates its own electromagnetic field to move in 4 dimensions without boundaries, without any need for energy. It's a technological miracle. But if the orb can maneuver so well, why did it fall from the sky above Colombia? The only explanation is that it didn't fall. It landed on purpose. And here's another shocking bit of evidence. The object's surface showed signs of ionized charge decay, which scientists think could be a fingerprint of energy technology we don't fully understand yet. Garrido and the UNAM team used microscopes magnified 2,000 times to reveal an intricate network of fiber optic cables twisted like alien circuitry, running to a central node they're calling a chip. Is this blowing your mind yet? Because I can hardly believe the words that are coming out of my mouth. If all of this is accurate, which it seems to be since the info is coming from real scientists at real institutions, I mean, this is it. This is an alien machine. According to Garrido's early analysis, the Orbs circuitry system could have been used to send and receive data signals, like some version of alien Wi-Fi, which means the orb could be transmitting data as we speak, sending back to its alien masters every last bit of information about Earth. Meaning, basically, we're screwed. The aliens are coming and they are going to have all of your passwords. The skeptics. Of course, not everyone is buying it. Dr. Julia Mossbridge, a cognitive neuroscientist at the University of San Diego, took one look and called the orb a man-made art project. No lie, those are her exact words. According to Julia, the videos of the object flying through the sky don't definitively connect to the sphere recovered from the ground. So basically, Julia is saying that the videos of a completely separate sphere and the one found in the field is a man-made hoax. Fair point. You never know what's really going on behind the scenes. But to be honest, the longer this investigation goes on, the harder it becomes to write the thing off as a mystery sculpture project gone wild. Let's ask our pal Jaime Maussan what he thinks. If you aren't familiar with Jaime, he is a well-known UFO journalist who's cried "alien mummy" one too many times. Jaime is the guy who tried to prove he had mummified aliens, but they turned out to be Peruvian dolls. His involvement in the orb mystery has some researchers stopping in the doorway and turning around. Jaime, for all his enthusiasm and good work, has made questionable claims in the past. It's enough to put off a lot of mainstream researchers. Jaime is convinced it's legit. And although Mossbridge is a skeptic, even she admitted we are reaching a point where humans may need to start accepting the reality of extraterrestrial intelligence. Have you accepted it yet, or are you still on the fence? To touch the orb. David Vélez El Potro and his friend Jose were among the first to find the object. They were the local Colombians who witnessed it in the sky and were there when it hit the ground. Both men touched it. Both reported nausea and vertigo afterwards. Was their illness a coincidence, or was it exposure to something dangerous, like some electromagnetic energy field, perhaps? Locals have since been sending Vélez photos of the dead field, still scorched 3 months later, with no sign of recovery. Whatever landed there didn't just crash. It altered the environment and released a burst of energy strong enough to make 2 men sick. So, what was it? On one hand, you've got fiber optics, unexplainable weight shifts, electromagnetic anomalies, and dead terrain. On the other hand, you've got a handful of skeptics pointing to the usual culprits like a hoax, misidentification, or internet hype. Even if you're a skeptic, you've got to admit the orb does not seem to be of this planet. But then we've got to ask the bigger question. If this really is an autonomous probe from beyond Earth, what's it doing here? So, what is the Buga Sphere? Is it an alien probe sent here to study us or even send us a message? Is it some secret military technology accidentally dropped and now being quietly recovered? Or is it just an incredibly elaborate high-tech hoax? An art project designed to make us all look up, get us talking, and make us question everything we think we know. What do you think it is? And now for a quick break because it's shout out time. I want to give a huge thank you to Alfonso Lopez for the super thanks. It really means a lot and we wouldn't be here without you. Be sure to subscribe to join the Origins Explained family and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. The Mexico Mystery Orb. Just when you thought that space couldn't throw any more weird orbs at us, boom! A mysterious metallic ball drops from the sky and gets stuck in a tree in Veracruz, Mexico. No flames, no sonic boom, just a weird humming silence and one very confused meteorologist. That meteorologist is a well-respected man in his field named Isidro Caño. He's not the kind of guy who normally dabbles in sci-fi, but even he couldn't ignore the spherical space oddity that landed like it came here to hack all our bank accounts. According to Caño, the orb was made of a very hard plastic or an alloy of various materials. It sounds like the kind of thing Tony Stark would forget on a business trip, not the kind of space debris that gets stuck in a tree like some cartoon kitten. It came from the sky. When the object reportedly crash-landed in Veracruz, people online started to speculate like their Wi-Fi depended on it. Was it a Chinese rocket part? Was it an alien probe? Was it just an extremely confused bowling ball? Nobody knew what had fallen, only that it was definitely not a space rock. Caño's best guess was that it could have been a chunk of a Chinese rocket that fell into the Indian Ocean. Caño went as far as posting on Facebook to urge locals to stay away, not to poke at it, and not to even think about prodding it or snapping any selfies. He warned that the object might be radioactive. I think that might make people want to touch it more. Am I wrong? As if that weren't enough to freak everyone out, Caño went on saying not to try opening the orb because it might be on a timer and it might explode. Thanks for all the ideas. Way to calm everyone down, Caño. Good job. I'm sure that didn't send everyone in a 10-mile radius into a complete panic. The monolith connection. Caño drew parallels between the mysterious Mexican orb and the random monolith in Utah from 2020. Around the beginning of COVID, you might recall a giant metal obelisk appeared in the Utah desert. No explanation, no context, just a totally random silver monument in the desert with no receipts or anything. And then it vanished. Then another one popped up in Romania. It was like playing whack-a-mole with alien obelisks. No one knew who made them, what they were for, or who took them away in the dead of night. While Caño admitted this wasn't the same situation, it's hard not to draw parallels. One minute there's a metallic orb in a tree that is either a Chinese rocket or an alien drone, and the next minute, it's gone. The Great Orb Escape. In his final dramatic update, Caño said the orb was whisked away at 3:15 a.m. by highly trained personnel with specialized equipment, like something out of a straight-to-Netflix action movie. The device is no longer in Veracruz. Its new destination is unknown. It could be outside of Mexico. It could be outside of Earth's atmosphere for all anyone knows. There's no information about who took the orb. Since the day it was stolen, there has been no whisper of the truth from anywhere. Was it the Mexican authorities? Was the US involved? Or was this a shadowy Men in Black type situation with operatives beholden to no nation at all? I think the most frustrating part of this whole ordeal is that you and I, the common people, are left without answers. We still don't know what the orb was, why it fell into a tree in Mexico, or what sort of technology may have been hiding under its shiny silver surface. Could it be connected to the Buga Sphere in Colombia? Is it space junk? If I had to come up with a moral for this story, it would be to never trust metallic objects that appear out of nowhere, be they orbs or obelisks. Fireballs over Peru. In January 2018, the skies above Peru lit up like the biggest fireworks display in the world. Fiery orbs streaked through the skies and thousands gawked in amazement. It was crazy because there were no fireworks that day. The fiery streaks were bits of metal debris raining down upon our planet. Everyone thought the aliens were finally clocking in. Social media in Peru exploded like a Christmas tree doused in jet fuel, with people from several towns posting footage of what looked like cosmic meteorites tearing across the heavens like they were late for the apocalypse. It was perfect for a sci-fi disaster movie. You had flaming spheres, mysterious crashes, panicked farmers, and a smell in the air that reminded folks of an electric welder. This all happened on a Saturday. By the next Tuesday, the mystery had evaporated because the real culprit was exposed. Another satellite hangover. What people saw on that fateful Saturday were 3 metal orbs falling from the sky in a dazzling pyrotechnic display. One of them was reportedly 6 feet wide and weighed around 90 pounds. It was total anarchy on the ground. The cops showed up and taped off the area, warning everyone not to get too close because, the orb might be radioactive. You shouldn't have to tell people this, but please don't lick the mysterious metal ball. Shortly after the crash, Commander Pedro Balsa from Peru's Center for Aerospace Interests came in with an explanation. With a few choice words, the commander burst the bubble of every amateur UFO hunter with their radio on. He said the orbs that fell across Peru were of this world. They were probably nothing more than spent fuel tanks from a decommissioned satellite. The metal orbs that seemed so much like pieces of alien space debris turned out to be nothing but human-made garbage. Junk that fell off a crappy satellite? What a total disappointment. Or is it? These objects are parts of a satellite that stopped operating, Palza explained, adding helpfully that this kind of thing is common. But what if Palza is lying? What if he's covering up a much darker and more alien truth? Cold War garbage. Look, I love a cover-up just as much as the next person, but investigators found inscriptions on one of the tanks in Russian, which is hardly the language of the Oort cluster. The markings included complicated numbers like this, along with a tank volume of 132,300 liters. These are the markings, numbers, and inscriptions you would expect to find on industrial equipment. Sadly, or not sadly, there is no cryptic alien message, unless the aliens were very into pressure readings and Cold War-era satellite technology. I think this one's a wash. The 2 other orbs were definitely weird, but this is a classic case of space junk. The only question remaining is what to do next. What do you do with space junk? According to the Space Agency of Peru, the tanks were empty. They contained no fluids, no pressurized contents, and no alien goo. So, chemically speaking, everyone who was near them is in the clear. This isn't going to be a mini Chernobyl in Peru. What happens next is that the pieces of debris will be inspected to confirm their Soviet origin. Then they'll probably be disposed of, maybe buried underground in some vast subterranean garbage dump for space-age trash, I don't know. The lesson here is that even if the sky lights up and metal orbs start crash landing near your livestock, you don't need to panic. It's not always aliens. Sometimes it's just the government's mind-controlling satellites. More often than not, though, it's just our own junk coming home to roost. We're literally raining garbage down on ourselves. Maybe that's the real alien invasion. Metallic orbs attack NASA astronaut. A former NASA astronaut was attacked by mysterious metallic spheres mid-flight, and nobody has ever been able to explain what happened. But I'm almost positive we can blame it on aliens. In early 2023, Leroy Chiao, a veteran astronaut and former commander of the space shuttle, was flying his private 4-seater plane over Houston at 9,000 feet when the sky started throwing things at him, literally. Chiao said, and I quote, "They came right at me." That's how he described it. Out of absolutely nowhere, 2 shiny, smooth, metallic spheres about 3 feet in diameter each zipped past him, a mere 20 feet away from his cockpit. 20 feet, guys. That's closer than most people let strangers get to their lunch, let alone their airplane. There was nothing around me, Chiao told News Nation, and just suddenly these things appeared. They were silent, not making any kind of noise at all, not even the low hum of an electric engine. These metal orbs simply sliced through the sky like they were too cool for gravity or physics. They zipped around in the same free-flying UFO way that our pals in Colombia and Mexico say their metal orbs zipped around before landing. The Pentagon speaks. I'd like to throw another log on the conspiracy fire. Hope you don't mind. Hear me out just a second. 4 months before Chow's mystery encounter, the Pentagon released a declassified video of a UFO. The video they released showed a metallic orb flying over a military base in the Middle East. Some experts, being the rational killjoys they are, suggested the orb could have been a party balloon. Right, because a party balloon from Chuck E. Cheese made it to the Middle East and floated so fast it could keep up with modern jet fighters. That doesn't really add up. When Chow saw the video released by the Pentagon, he had the same idea you and I have right now. He thought the two were connected. More than that, Chow thought the orb in the Pentagon's video was the same orb that nearly crashed into his plane in Texas. And the Pentagon seems fully aware of the situation. They know that these orbs exist because they've admitted it. The Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office said in 2023 that metallic orbs are the most common type of UFO they investigate. Not flying saucers like you see in the movies, not little green men and Teslas. The Pentagon actively investigates floating metal balls, and they do it all the time. While the Pentagon insists that there is no evidence these orbs are alien tech, you've got to wonder what in the world they expect us to think. Okay, so metal orbs that can fly through the sky like Superman aren't alien tech, but they aren't from Earth either, so... Pentagon, just tell us the truth. We know these balls exist. Just tell us what you know already. It could have killed me. Chow didn't sugarcoat his experience. If one of those orbs had collided with his aircraft, the result would have been wreckage. No one would have even known what happened. Just another missing dot on the radar. Which kind of makes you wonder how many missing flights were actually destroyed by metal orbs. We've got Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, Flying Tiger Line Flight 739, Air France Flight 447, all unsolved disappearances of entire flights. Could metal orbs be to blame? Remember, guys, that Chow is an astronaut and a pilot, not a crackpot on the internet. Chow's not a basement-dwelling Reddit theorist, no offense to anyone. The man has logged over 200 days in space. He's not the kind of guy who just makes up alien sightings. Chow has even kept his composure through this whole exceptionally strange ordeal, never openly speculating too hard in one direction. But he's also not ruling anything out either. He admitted to believing in intelligent life outside of Earth. He said, "I think it's the height of arrogance to think that we are the only intelligent life in this entire universe." Now that's an opinion we can all get on board with. Florida Man versus falling space trash. Have you ever played the Florida Man game? I feel bad for Floridians, but this is how you play. You go to Google, type in Florida Man, and let the rest fill itself out with suggestions. There is always a guy in Florida doing something nuts. It's about as predictable as the sun rising in the morning. The reason I'm mentioning this is because our next mystery object from space landed in Florida, smashing through the ceiling of the guy's house, resulting in news articles with titles like Florida Man versus Space Junk. And that is awesome. Florida Man meets metal cylinder. In the endless cosmic ballet that is Earth orbit, every now and then something misses its cue. And when that happens, it doesn't just slip quietly into the ocean. It crash lands through someone's living room ceiling like it's late to their weekend barbecue. That's exactly what happened on March 8th, 2024 in Naples, Florida. A mysterious metal cylinder, just a few inches long but weighing nearly 2 pounds, blasted through Alejandro Otero's roof, and his floor, and his second floor. NASA may call it orbital decay, but to Otero, it was more like a cosmic home invasion. NASA's litter fell from the sky so hard it punched holes in Otero's home. Do you think NASA will pay for the damages? Can you even claim a space debris crash on your home insurance? One small drop for junk, one giant hole for Otero's house. It was 2:34 p.m. local time when the flying tube made its dramatic entrance. Otero's son was home at the time, and by sheer luck, wasn't turned into a cautionary tale about why you don't nap under skylights in Florida. The debris miraculously missed the sun as it punched hole after hole into the house. But what even was this thing? It looked sort of like a battery, probably because it may have been a battery. Otero suspects this rogue hunk of hardware was part of a batch of 9 drained batteries ejected from the International Space Station. And this is actually a routine occurrence. When astronauts throw stuff out, it doesn't go to the curb, it goes into orbit. The batteries, mounted on a massive cargo pallet, courtesy of the Japanese space agency JAXA, were dumped into Earth's atmosphere in 2021. NASA said they would burn up safely on re-entry. And most of them did, but one was a little more heat-resistant than the rest. It didn't burn up into ashes, but turned into a cannonball aimed straight at Otero's home. Hello, NASA? Otero, who now gets to start every story with "You'll never guess what fell into my house," posted online looking for help because he didn't know what to do. I feel sorry for this guy. Who do you call when NASA's dropping stuff on your house? He wrote, "Looks like one of those pieces missed Fort Myers and landed in my house in Naples. Tore through the roof and went through 2 floors. Almost hit my son." No word on how many voicemails you need to leave for NASA before they respond, but Otero eventually talked to someone. NASA officials scooped up the alien intruder and are now analyzing it at the Kennedy Space Center. They have yet to confirm that it is indeed from the ISS, but I have a hunch that NASA isn't about to confirm the existence of alien battery packs. Because if this thing didn't come from the ISS, it must have fallen off something else. Something that wasn't built on Earth. International hot potato. If the object is from the ISS, and if it is part of JAXA's contribution, Otero could face a bureaucratic game of hot potato. Claims against the US government are one thing, but if the wrecking ball came from Japanese space garbage, Otero is going to need to brush up on international debris liability laws. And I don't even know where a guy starts for that. Who do you call when a foreign country is throwing batteries at you? Now, I know this is another episode of Florida Gone Wild, but this isn't a strictly Florida problem. Falling space junk is a global issue, an issue that is getting worse every day. Between 2020 and 2022, 4 of China's Long March 5B boosters rained flaming debris over the Ivory Coast, Borneo, and the Indian Ocean like an orbital game of Battleship. SpaceX had its own littering problem too. Rocket pieces landed on a farm in Washington and a sheep paddock in Australia. Nothing says space exploration like waking up to twisted metal where your tractor used to be. The issue is that there are more than 30,000 tracked objects whizzing around Earth at orbital speeds. Humans have turned space into the galactic version of a teenager's bedroom floor. And those are just the big ones. Countless smaller pieces are out there as well. Too tiny to track, but big enough to ruin your day if they fall on your head. So what's the world doing for a solution? Not much, to be honest. Scientists have floated ideas ranging from claw-armed junk-collecting robots to giant space nets to spacefaring tethers that reel in debris like a cosmic cowboy. Basically, a big interstellar cleanup crew is needed before Earth's orbit becomes the worst kind of junkyard. And if nobody cleans it up, the future is bleak. The atmosphere could become so clogged with space trash one day that the sun can't shine through. That's an extreme future scenario, but not an impossible one. What do you think Earth should do with all of its space garbage? If you've got a solution, let us know in the comments. The day the sky dropped giant metal marbles on Vietnam. So there you are, minding your business, sipping tea in your backyard, maybe arguing with your dog about who's going to clean up all the fur on the couch. And then, out of nowhere, a giant metal ball crashes into your garden like it's out to destroy your turnips. And while your garden probably won't be hosting an uninvited metal guest anytime soon, that's exactly the kind of cosmic drama that went down in northern Vietnam recently. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. It started with a boom. Locals in Tuy Quang andIen Bai provinces heard a noise that sounded like thunder. Only it wasn't thunder. The sky was just casually dropping space balls like it wanted to throw a party. These were, just like most of the metal balls you've seen today, pure metal spheres that seemingly dropped from the heavens. The biggest orb was a beefy 99 pounds, found chilling near a stream like it had taken a wrong turn at the moon. Another of these metal balls landed in someone's garden in Yenbai. The smallest one, a mere 9 ounces, crashed onto a roof and then rolled off and hit the ground. Before you grab your tinfoil hat and start Googling Alien Bowling League, Vietnam's defense ministry stepped in with their serious faces and some very official theories. They were quicker to debunk the metal orbs than the US military was to blame Roswell on a weather balloon. From Russia with love. According to the defense ministry, these orbs are most likely compressed air tanks from an aircraft or a rocket. And here's where things start to feel a little bit too familiar. The defense ministry claimed that one of the tanks, was inscribed with Russian. Getting deja vu yet? This is the same thing that happened in Mexico. Everyone thought there was an alien probe, but it turned out to be just Cold War junk. And now the same thing seems to have happened in Vietnam. However, nothing is conclusive yet. Professor Nguyen Coa Sun, an aerospace expert and the only person at this cosmic crime scene with actual credentials, has a theory. Nguyen said that these orbs might have come from an old satellite that flopped its big finale and failed to burn up properly in Earth's atmosphere. Again, it's a case of space trash. But wait a second, because something isn't quite right. The objects that fell on Vietnam weren't even slightly damaged. They showed no burn marks, no dents, not even a little singe. Yet when something falls through the atmosphere, it gets singed. There's no way around the intense heat of re-entry. According to Professor Sun, this could mean one of two things. One, the satellite was a dud and never made it to orbit in the first place. Or option two, the debris fell back to Earth without burning up upon re-entry. Something that would be considered a miracle, because it should be impossible. But there might be a third option. And the third option is that the orbs came from deep space and have nothing to do with humans, and the Vietnamese government is covering it up. I'm not saying it's true, I'm just saying it's a possible explanation. So what now? At this point, Vietnamese officials are still poking, prodding, and probably Googling like the rest of us. Are these orbs dangerous? Apparently not. But if metal space balls keep raining down like interstellar hailstones, maybe it's time we all install a reinforced roof. Or at least get ourselves some space debris insurance. Is that even a thing? It should be. Thanks for watching. Would you keep one of these mysterious orbs if it landed in your yard? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think any of the orbs come from aliens, or are they all just space junk? Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!